Welcome to the Auto Intel podcast, the show where we talk growth, systems, and scale for car studios and dealerships. This episode is brought to you by Personamize.ai, the AI persona system built to run your entire sales engine. From capturing leads, handling instant follow ups, nurturing conversions, all the way to booking test drives and closing deals. It's the full stack automation your studio or car dealerships needs to grow without hiring more staff. Here we go, another episode, a local episode that we are going to shoot right now of AI Auto Intel, where we have Mr. Sheshadri, who's have been in this industry for 13 massive years, and he has gone to the highs and the lows of this industry, and he's the guy who can tell us the entire story, how this even like the start of the detailing in Mumbai and also in India. So yeah, here you go. How you doing?
Hey, good man.
Yeah, cheers. So tell me more about yourself. Like, where did you start? What was the being a child? Did you ever think you will be in this niche?
So primarily I come from engineering background. So I spent close to 15 years working with various multinational companies and also had a recruitment business that we started, which still continues. So in 2013, I got introduced to car detailing. So we took up a franchisee for a global brand. So we were there associated with them for close to around 10, 11 years. And then we decided to start our own brand, Carmo.
Okay.
And so as we speak, we have 3 centers in Mumbai, one in Thane, which is of course our flagship region where we have been there for almost 13 years now, and one in Bandra and one in Vashi. And we are looking at a couple of more centers now in the coming
In
months.
the coming months, makes sense. So, what's the one thing that pulled you into this industry?
So basically, I did have some kind of passion towards cars, and this was something related. Being an engineer, always had a fascination for a little bit of technology. In those days, I think there were very few detailers, not like now when you have in Thane itself, you have more than 60, 70 detailers. So at that point of time, it was a very concentrated kind of a thing. It was a very technical affair. We had to basically understand the need of a customer, explain the treatments to them. It was very technical. Whereas now in the last 3, 4 years, you can see detailing becoming extremely commercial. So most of the people who are there in the business, they are just selling it as any other product of service without actually getting into the depth of what detailing is and things. So yes, I think this 13 years have been really good, and so looking forward now.
Makes sense. So, speaking about the 13 years that you just mentioned, how was the graph for you? Like pre-COVID, how was it? Post-COVID, how was it?
So basically, we've always been into the premium detailing. Always right through, we use all global products and global machines and technology. So initially, detailing was a kind of a craze, like in early in 2013s and all 2011, 12. That's when I think it started maturing as a industry. So people who were really passionate about it and were the ones who were actually doing the detailing. Wherein, of course, with the time going, a lot of people got into it. I think so that opened up the industry a bit. I think things were a little bit more technical, more personal. It was a consultative approach. Now it's become a very commoditized approach. So you have people saying that, we have all kinds of treatments. We can give you Teflon coating, graphene coating, ceramic coating, and without getting into the details of what the customer actually wants, how the customer is going to maintain his vehicle, whether he has got an open parking, whether he has got a closed parking, what is actually a need of a customer, what does he require. So that kind of I would say shift, that approach you would not find in most of the detailing centers which are there today.
Makes sense. Speaking about getting in detail with the customer needs. So, for example, I own a Hyundai Alcazar. So
Okay.
I have a closed parking. So this is a scenario. So how would the differentiation in between for me, like this is a example scenario for you. So how would you guide me?
So fundamentally, protection. So detailing is one portion of it is basically cleaning and maintaining the upkeep of the car. So you clean your interiors, you clean your exteriors once in a while. You do a polish, remove the hard watermarks. That is the cleaning and the detailing part of it. The major portion of detailing, which is now, in the last 4-5 years, which come is basically protection.
Okay.
So there are different types of protection. So there are some service providers who give you an underbody protection, underbody coating. Then you have a coating for the painted surface also. So that can be categorized into two. One is the one which protects it from natural defects, like your sunlight, your rain, and those kind of things. So it's a protection from the UV rays, and it maintains the gloss.
Okay.
The second is now of late, in the last 6-7 years, you must have heard about the paint protection films, which has really sprung up. So one way of protecting is, you have your gloss too, what you get in the ceramic and graphene coatings. In case of a paint protection film, you don't only maintain the gloss, but you also ensure that your surface is scratch free.
Okay.
It is like a scratch guard on your mobile, which you put. So similarly, you put a scratch guard on the car, and it protects it from tangential scratches. So ideally, if I were to explain it a little bit more in detail technically, so it is a polyurethane film which has got a very high tensile strength. So this product was ideally designed in the US in, I think, late 1980s for the US Army, wherein they used to protect the helicopter blades with the PPF.
Yeah, because I've heard that story.
Yeah, so basically at lower pressures the edges crumble, and so to protect the blades they used this. So post, I think, early 2000, they started using it for the cars and protection. So how it works is that it's a film with a very high tensile strength, right? So, and it's got a elongation. So what it does is that it protects your car from tangential scratches. So whenever there is a head-on collision, nothing can be done. So either your body will rupture, or the bumper, or the a door will tear apart. But in 95% of the city driving, you see those bikers just brushing your car. You see the auto rickshaw guys brushing your car, and it's a bumper to bumper traffic. So your scratches and nicks are inevitable. So these are the scratches and nicks which are very momentary in nature, and it's not a permanent collision kind of a thing. They just brush. So it's a momentary thing. So what the paint protection film does is that it protects the car paint from the scratches.
Scratches, makes sense.
Right. So that's the technology.
That was deep. So digging a little bit deeper. So you mentioned about the tensile strength, and also did you mention about micron? So what's the main criteria to choose the perfect PPF? If you how would you criteria?
So basically, when you're talking about the thickness of the PPF, there's a misnomer. In the industry, like a lot of people say that higher the thickness. So that's, I think, more commonsensical in terms of you say that higher the thickness, higher is the protection. But there is a flip side to it.
Okay.
So the thing is that when your thickness increases, the elongation, basically the elongation of PPF reduces. That's very obvious, because if you have a 180 micron film, it will stretch probably a little more as compared to a 200 and a 210 micron film. So what we need to understand, if you have seen the applicators applying the paint protection film on the cars, the PPF is not just like that applied. It's not like a screen guard or a scratch guard on your mobile that you just, it comes in a proper shape and you apply, right? So here, if you have seen application of a bonnet, they lock it in the front and they actually pull it. So you have a 24-inch film being stretched up to around 28-30 inches and then applied. So by doing this, what happens is that it augments the gloss, number one. Secondly, when you're actually pulling the film, there is amount of surface tension which is developed on top of the surface. So which, when combined with the tensile strength of the PPF, enhances the scratch resistant ability also. And to a certain extent, I think the way, extremely trained applicator knows how much to stretch
Mhm.
for an optimum kind of a gloss, right?
Okay.
So this is the stretching is inversely proportional to the thickness. So
Mhm.
what happens is, if you have a very curved surface and you're having a 240 micron ppf,
Mhm.
it won't actually sit on the curvatures and the contours properly. There is going to be a inherent resistance of the materials in terms of sticking to the surfaces, and there are chances of the ppf coming out.
Mhm.
So the worldwide standard is between 180 micron to 200 micron.
Mhm.
So that doesn't mean that a 200 micron has a better scratch protection ability.
Mhm.
It actually is also relational to the kind of a warranty that the manufacturer provides you, because
Okay.
generally out of the 180 micron, you have the top self-healing layer, which is around 5 to 7 micron, which over a period of time, it actually withers away.
Mhm.
So the ppf thickness is slightly bound to come down, right?
Okay.
So in terms of the thickness and the thing, it's important that you remain within the standards. Say 180 micron to 200 micron is a kind of a global standard
Global
that we
standard.
see for the films.
Like the higher the micron, the higher the quality of the PPF. Is
Uh,
the kind of a myth that we have in the market.
Yeah, see, to a certain extent, if the PPF has to, survive for 10 years, it has to have some inherent strength.
Mhm.
So generally, you will find the 10-year warranties to be closer to 200, 210 micron,
Mhm.
wherein a 5-year warranty comes with around 180 micron,
Mhm.
right? But what we need to understand, that whenever people are talking about a 8-year, 10-year warranty,
Mhm.
they are all tested in a accelerated aging condition in a lab. So
I
it
see.
goes through a different hot and cold temperature cycles,
Mhm.
and those kind of things are simulated.
Mhm.
But one needs to understand that these are lab conditions. So once your paint protection film goes out in the market and the kind of a dusty conditions in India, it definitely that will add up to the kind of deterioration
Mhm.
in terms of the gloss levels over a period of time.
So, like, how much years do you think like a 10-year PPF can? Like,
See, when you are saying that a manufacturer, any manufacturer for that instance,
Mhm.
if they give you a 10-year warranty, the warranty is basically on the PPF. So the
Okay.
warranty is never on the gloss levels,
I
right?
see. I
So
see.
the gloss levels is basically depends upon how your paint protection film is actually maintained.
Mhm.
Like for example, you have a normal painted surface, a normal car paint, which is uncoated with a PPF. Even that requires maintenance, right? Because what we need to understand is that every surface is a porous surface.
Okay.
So if you have a white car, on that the deterioration will be more visible. So generally in the city conditions and driving, you figure out that the car over 2 3 years has gone slightly yellowish or dull. That is primarily because the pores which are there, your clear layer of the paint is basically porous, and to a certain extent in the heat and the bonnet heat, it expands and the dust goes and settles in. So that's how the decoloring happens. The process is same both for the PPF also. Unlike the paint which can be polished because it has got a higher thickness in terms of the clear coat, that particular thing isn't possible with a paint protection film, because in case of a paint protection film, you don't you don't have a clear layer, so it is not a polishable layer.
Okay.
Of course, with the advancements in the technologies, but there are certain cleansing products which actually cleans the pores and it restores the paint protection film.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So another thing which I would like to add is that the self-healing layer. So generally, people, when they hear about the property of self-healing, what they feel is that the self-healing will heal scratches and physical damages also, which is not the case. The self-healing layer is a 8 to approximately 5 to 10 micron kind of thickness layer,
Okay.
which so to put it into perspective, 1 micron is equivalent to 0.0001 mm. So it is
I see.
1 micron is 1,000th of an mm. So when you're talking about 180 micron ppf, so 180 micron ppf is 0.18 mm.
I see.
Right.
So that can resist
Yeah, so
that kind of
basically
stress.
the self-healing layer, as I said, is 5 to 7 micron, so it is 0.005 a micron, which is 1 by 200th of a mm. So only those swirl marks which are there, like for example, you have a dirty cloth and it has got a very fine particle and it brushes your PPF, only those kind of swirl marks can be removed in a self-healing kind of a PPF.
I see, I see.
Until the time the self-healing is there, your pores are covered and it protects the dust from entering the pores.
Makes sense. So, like, you were speaking about the warranty. Like many of the viewers must have this question, like, what's covered in the warranty?
Yeah, so warranty, that's a good question. So warranty does not cover any physical damages. The warranty basically covers all the manufacturing defects. That's the PPF, it hardens over a period of time, if it cracks, if there's some adhesive corrosion, and most importantly, application defects. So if there's any application defect, if there are bubbles, if there's any dust particles, generally the application is done in a very dust sensitive area. So, and also stretching, as we talked about stretching earlier. But if a PPF is stretched beyond a particular thing, the adhesive inside cracks, so you can see some stretch marks when, not so professional applicators are handling the PPF application. So, those kind of things are actually covered in the warranty.
The warranty makes sense. Okay, I think that clears it out. And speaking about like, there are many PPFs in the market, like very cheaper alternatives in the market. So, like, many customers are getting fooled by many of the details. Not we are not pinpointing certain details, but there are many customers that we can see in today's world that they are getting cheated and scammed. So, what do you think a customer should look at while choosing a PPF or a detailing studio?
Okay, so I think it's a very good and a very common question. So so it's like, not only in PPF, in every industry you have that, right? So, let me give you a very common man example kind of a thing. Suppose you're buying a linen shirt, right? You go to a normal local market, cloth market in Dadar, you will get it at around, say, 800 rupees a meter or even 500 rupees a meter. So they call it linen. You go to a decent kind of, maybe, I don't want to name any brand, but if you go to a sort of a mid-size brand, you will get the similar shirt in, say, 1500 or something. But if you go to a premium linen kind of a brand, the shirt value goes up to around 7,500 also. So even there's a similar thing, but only a textile technologist can tell you as to what is the detail of that particular cloth. What is the thread count, what is the thickness of every thread, what is the tensile strength of the thread, what is the composition in terms of linen, what is the polyester content in that, and how natural is your linen. So like this, I think even in the paint protection film, you have all these, kind of things that obviously a PPF which is selling at 40,000, definitely in terms of the quality will be inferior as a product which is being sold at 2.5 lakhs. But what we need to understand is that in this entire spectrum, you have to be very clear in your understanding that the entire paint protection films can be classified into two, right? So one is your white label stuff. So what is the white label stuff? The white label stuff is anybody just importing the PPF, they're putting the brand, and they are creating their own brand. Like for example, we have ours called Clear Pro, and there are thousands of brands available in India. So they import the PPF, they label the boxes, and they sell the PPF. Wherein in case of brands, so there's a very fine differentiation. So you'll be surprised if I tell you that none of the brands, including the topmost brand, they don't manufacture their own PPF simply for logistical reasons and economy of scales. Because if you're talking about a leading a global brand today, would have a consumption of say around 500 rolls or 300 rolls in a month. So you can't set up a manufacturing plant of a PPF just for 300, 500 rolls.
Yeah, that do make sense,
right? So you have these large so-called manufacturers of paint protection films who have capacities over 2-3 lakh rolls a month. So everybody actually buys it from them. So another point which I would want to tell our viewers is that whenever you're talking about the paint protection film, the basic raw material, right? The raw material, the 80% of your PPF is the thermoplastic polyurethane raw material,
Okay.
right? So that raw material crystals are majorly manufactured. So around 3 companies have 80-85% of market share, which is BASF, Covestra, and Lubrizol. So anybody who is going to be manufacturing a high-end, high-quality, high-grade, high-gloss PPF will have to essentially buy the raw materials from these 3 companies. So the so-called manufacturers who say are technically assemblers, because they melt those crystals, they roll it into sheets, and then they spray the adhesive and they sell it, right? So the brands also follow a similar thing. When it comes to white label, you can also call it a sort of white labeling. But the thing is that all these brands which are there, they're huge companies. They have a huge backing. Like for instance, what we actually actively recommend is the Nippon Paint thing. So Nippon Paint is a Japanese conglomerate. It's a $10 billion. The paint division is about $10 billion. Of course, Nippon Corporation is more than $1.5 trillion. So if you're talking about those kind of companies who have a very, very cutting edge technology and R&D setup and all, and they get these things manufactured or maybe outsourced from someone. But then with these companies, you have the entire brand backing up the commitment. And like in the local things, you might, though people talk about a 5-year and 10-year warranty, you might realize that the local guy from whom you take a 10-year warranty actually winds up after a couple of years. He's not even there in business. So whom do you reach out? So coming to the point that there are 2 types of warranties. One is in case of PPF, which is a white label PPF. The warranty comes with the detailing center, which is definitely a risky proposition. Vis-a-vis the companies which have systems like e-warranty, wherein you guys can see the actual warranty, because these companies actually ensure that the applicator also applies the same material. Because otherwise the company is actually ending up paying for the warranties, right? So they have a certain system of scan code and photographs and certain
and can
random
this
checks.
warranty be claimed pan India?
Yes.
E-warranty.
With some brands, yes, it's available. But in case of Nippon Paints, they have the digital e-warranty site wherein the customer can see their the car number, chassis number, name, mobile numbers, and everything updated on the website. So it's a very authentic kind of a thing.
So just want to ask, like in depth a bit. Matlab, there are 2 kind of PPF, if I'm not wrong, right? One is instant healing, and the other one is?
It's basically self-healing, which is under heated condition.
What's the difference like?
So instant healing is something that, in a normal ambient temperature, that particular swirl marks will be a thing. So the material or the coating which is used in case of instant healing is more responsive, right, to the temperature changes. So the self-healing layer, so that is a layer which actually heals the scratches at the room temperature also. In case of a normal self-healing, you'll have to put a heat gun with a blow hot air, and that will basically iron out the swirl marks.
So for Indian climatic conditions, which one do you prefer?
See, basically it isn't like that. Some brands offer instant healing, self-healing, and some brands offer a normal regular self-healing. But I think for the viewers, let me tell you that no matter which PPF you go for, right? In case of a white label PPF or a PPF from a very, very high brand. So, see, I'm not talking about any specific manufacturer, but I'm just making an observation based on my experience of selling PPF for the last 13 years. Is that self-healing layer is a layer which is there on top of your TPU material, right? So that is subject.
What's TPU like?
TPU is basically thermoplastic polyurethane. So it's a material. What happens is that it can withstand different temperature cycles. Like in your electric switch, you have a number of times the life of the switch is approximately 5,000 times you can switch on and switch off. Similarly, TPU, every TPU, depending upon the material, has certain hot and cold cycles which it can go through. So if your car goes at a 60-degree temperature, because even if the ambient temperature is 35, 40, your bonnet heats up, it goes to 50, 55. In your parking, it comes to 28. So different hot and cold cycles that it can actually withstand by maintaining the original integrity of the material. So without changing any physical properties, without changing the gloss levels, without hardening of the adhesive. So that is important. So when you're talking about a life of a TPU, it is the different cycles that they can. So when you're so to put it into perspective, a 5-year warranty will be in a position to take lesser cycles, and a 10-year warranty will have more different cycles. That so that's basically the strength of the material and the other thing. But coming to the point which I was making is that in irrespective of the brand, in my experience, what I've seen is that the self-healing layer is only a 5 to 7 micron layer which is there on top of the film, which wears over a period of time. So in 99.9% of the cases, you will find the self-healing as a property, right, not existing after say a year and a half or two.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
So this is see, there are certain like as in every a profession, and even if you open a bank account, so there are a lot of the disclaimers. You have a 30-page document which no one reads. So here no one talks about these things in terms of the self-healing layer. So in my experience, I haven't come across any company which is guaranteeing or warranting self-healing feature for the entire 5-year warranty or the entire 10-year warranty. So this stays for a couple of years, and even for that matter, self-healing and hydrophobicity both are equivalent in terms of that, because it's a similar coating which basically causes which basically takes care of both your self-healing and hydrophobicity property. So in both cases, it does not stay for the entire length of your PPF, but of course these things are not known to the customer or not so openly talked about in our industry.
Makes sense. So coming back to like how to find a best detailing studio, like you mentioned that you have to go to the experts. To how to find these experts? Like how do you how do you see, like is it some kind of consultation that we should be doing before applying the
See,
BPF?
I can probably only tell you the most logical thing. What you need to check is that people talk about a 5-year warranty, saying that I'm getting a 5-year warranty, I'm getting a 10-year warranty at 50,000 at this place. So again, coming to the point which I mentioned is that first of all, are you sure that that person will be in existence in the current form in business for the next 5 years,
That
10
makes
years?
sense, yeah.
Number one. Number two, what is the antecedents in terms of where is the person coming from, what kind of investments they have made in the business, how long they've been active in the business. So these are very logical things. Now these are agnostic to whether you go for a PPF or you take any other service or of any kind. These are the things that we'll look for. So these are basics, like whether the person who's giving you warranty will be there in the first place. So that's the reason I suggested going to brands which have a far lesser risk of non-existence as compared to the things. So even in the brands, you have multiple options, and there are different price ranges. So without naming any a brand, what I can say is that even in the multinational, suppose you have A, B, C and D. So A, you may get a 5-year warranty at 80,000. For B, you might get it at 1 lakh, the C brand at 1.3, and D at even 1.8 and 2 lakhs. Of course, when it's 1.8 and 2 lakhs, it's either a 7 or a 10-year warranty. So there's a huge price variation. So what you need to understand is that irrespective of the price, you could pay 50,000, you could pay 70,000, you could pay a lakh. What you need to see is that are you getting value for that particular unit of money that you are actually spending for buying this kind of a PPF. So people say that no, I saved 10,000, but so in by paying 60, 70,000, if you're getting a good PPF, and by saving 20,000, if you are getting a inferior PPF, which might get dull in a couple of years, or wherein while removing you'll have issues of adhesive and the paint coming off. So you're not getting value even for that 50,000 which you're actually investing. So what we need to understand is it's not about saving money here. It is about, are you getting value for the particular amount of money that you are paying? I would only advise customers who are paying 30, 40,000 for the PPF, don't even go for a PPF, right? Because there are chances that it might actually damage your paint. Because when you're talking about, see, let me give you a basic, economics, and it's primarily logic. So we're talking about a good application of PPF for any mid-size car, with a zero application defect of a kind of a thing. These applicators, because we, unlike some of the people prefer having in-house, so we have external applicators, professionals who come and do the application. They charge around 10, 12,000 per car, right? So if you're talking about somebody offering a PPF in 40,000, and in that with a 10, 12,000 application and the material and the profit, you can imagine the kind of money that they will put towards buying the material.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a 10, 15,000 material, it obviously has to be a TPH or a high grade TPH for a thing, a kind of a thing. So to put into perspective, TPH is basically PPF. The first generation of PPF actually started as polyurethane PPF.
Okay.
Right. So even companies like 3M, when they launched, there wasn't any TPU 10, 12 years back. So they started with the PU. So PU generally gets yellow, and it has a, the material strength is not so much, so degrading is more. The TPH is basically a polyurethane PPF with a TPU layer.
I see.
Right, the entire material. So when you stretch it, these are two different materials. So each has a different tensile strength. Each has a different coefficient of expansion, and so you can find that when you pull a TPH PPF. So, but for a common customer, he doesn't realize that. So there are people who fall prey to this cheap stuff PPF. They spend around 30, 40,000, get the PPF done, and I've seen customers coming back after the year, because these are applicators who would actually cut with the blade, and once you remove the PPF, you can see the blade marks actually damaging the paint, and all these things are there. So in our kind of application, it's a completely seamless application. You can't see any edges. It's all tuck-in application. So the PPF is not cut on the body. It is cut in the, above the wherever your body ends. It's cut in the gaps, and then that PPF is heated and tucked in. It's because in case of a TPU material, if the adhesive is good, only then you can do a tuck-in application. So in case of cheaper PPFs and all, you will not be able to do a tuck-in application. That's one of the ways you can figure out. Because then in the edges and all, if you look at it, you will not find it very unified. The application will be a little because it will be a little hard on the edges. It doesn't stick well. So that's the way that you can identify a TPU and a TPH.
Makes sense. So to wind everything up, so like, where do you see this niche? Like, where do you see this niche, and where do you see yourself in the upcoming 5-10 years?
So I think basically only the brands are going to survive, because it is very important for a category to grow. The customer should not lose trust in the paint protection films itself. Suppose you are a luxury car owner and you have taken a very impromptu decision of maybe overlooking the quality and going in for a cheaper PPF, and it finally has damaged your paint. You would not be an advocate of the PPF as a product, because you haven't experienced the other side of the product. Haven't experienced that brand. So it is not going to do any good to the category. But as I see it, there's a lot of evaluation. Only the big brands will survive. And even in the brand, as I'm saying, is what you need to understand is that if you are having a price differentiation, you need to basically evaluate whether you are getting a value differentiation also. So let me put it in very simpler words. Suppose you have a branded PPF. So now let's keep the PPF at a slightly away in terms of the white label PPF slightly away. So even in case of branded PPF, so let's talk about this multinational brand PPFs. So if assuming that all are buying the raw materials from a similar thing, so in that also you can see a 2x price differentiation. So while we are selling Nippon Paint PPF, there are other brands which are say easily for 50% or even 100% more expensive than his brand. The question that you have to ask yourself is that this price differentiation of 100%, does it mean 100% value differentiation also?
Or is it the brand value?
Yeah, so certainly not. So how is the value differentiation? Like for example, when you go to buy a mobile phone, you say that you are buying a 4 GB a RAM or a 32 GB or 216, or a 512 GB
512,
kind
yeah.
of a thing. There are certain specifications. The specifications for the PPF are the tensile strength in terms of kg per centimeter square. It is a elongation, which means that a PPF, a 10-inch PPF, if you says is a 300% elongation, it can go up to, it can be elongated up to 30 inches, and when it is left, it will come back to the 10 inches. So
Okay.
elongation with deformation is not acceptable. Elongation with it returning back to the thing. So that is the elongation as one parameter. Secondly, the gloss levels are there, and the adhesive quality, right? So tensile strength, elongation, adhesive quality, and the gloss level. So these are the four broad parameters. Of course, thickness is there, but then I think thickness will get nullified, because if you are comparing, every brand has got a 3, 5, 7, and 10-year warranty. So obviously you will be comparing 10 years to 10 years. So it has to be an apple to apple comparison. So if you're comparing that way, I think that gets nullified. Otherwise, these four major parameters have to be compared. So suppose if a brand is offering you 250 kg per centimeter square, and it's costing 80,000. So does it mean that brand which is costing 1 lakh, 1.8 lakhs is giving you 5 and 2 kg per centimeter square? Certainly not, because 5 and 2 is not viable. If the strength is 5 and 2, it might not even stretch. You can't even apply, right? So these parameters are basically a basic indicator in terms of selection. So what I'm trying to say is that more or less all the, since it is a kind of a pre-qualification. So when you're going for a high grade TPU, because since the vendors or the people from whom they're buying the raw material is same, so it's kind of a pre-qualification. You know that all these are the filtered lots. So if, the chances of getting wrong is nullified. So in that, you'll have to take a call in terms of whether you want to pay 80,000, whether you want to just go by the brand, and I would say you're willing to pay say 100% premium by virtue of your love for the brand. It's a different thing, because see, when again putting into perspective, so a brand, probably if it was a watch, I would want to wear a brand even paying a premium of 10x, because it's a brand, it's a Rolex, or it's a thing. But in case of a PPF, once you put it, nobody knows which material it is, which variety, and it is more like a protection kind of a thing. It's not something which you're going to flaunt. So the brand here does not talk about the value that people see in it. The brand talks about the assurance that you are going to get
it,
because you're investing that kind of a money in a brand. So which I feel that the value differentiation across board is not so much, even from a majorly from a price perspective, because if you have a price differentiation, a very high price difference, the value differentiation is not there. It's practically the same, right? So you need to go in for a paint protection film which has got a good brand, I would say, recall. It's got a good brand image and a good brand ethics, some company which has been in business for a long time, and that then you get that assurance, right? So that's the thing. I hope
that makes it specific and clear.
Yeah. So, towards the end of the podcast, I would, many people just, they're riding the herd wave in terms of, everybody goes for a PPF. But if you ask me, yes, scratch protection is a particular a feature for which you go for a paint protection film. But why do you want to protect the scratches? You get a paint, right? You get a paint job done. So why do you want to cover it with a PPF and not do? So the primary purpose is that when you're talking about any manufacturer giving you a paint, it is done in a completely robotic plant, unmanned condition, and it's heated at around 200, 300 degrees. And it's a very durable paint and a very solid clear layer, unlike and which does not have any defects. So these are zero defects in most cases. But in case of a repainted thing, so even if you get a repainting job done with the the biggest luxury car brand also, they would be probably doing it only manually, because it's not possible for a manufacturer to stock like for a particular model right doors of a particular color with so many color variants. So they all stock unpainted versions and they paint it in the workshop. So when it is human, when it is manually done, there are bound to be some defects. So there is suppose even a slight variation in the power, or maybe a kind of a clogging of the compressor. So there could be variations in the air supply, and you could have those kind of orange peels, or you could have pinholes, or you could have dust, you could have those kind of craters on the paint. Right, all these defects come when you're doing it manually. So the basic reason why one should go for a paint protection film is that you're protecting the OEM paint, which gives you a 15-20% a premium in terms of resale value. So you go to any a particular car selling a cars
Reseller,
24
yeah.
or
Spinning.
any other site. So if you're putting all the parameters, if you put the age of the car, if you put a particular model, if you put a particular make, and then you filter as per the number of kilometers that it is done, so you'll find that the ask varies by around 15-20%. You could have a similar range of kilometers, similar model, similar manufacturer, color, and everything same, but the price is around 15-20% different. That could have been an accident car, it is a repainted car. So basically the car valuators will know that. They would first inspect the car and just by a look. So maybe it's not visible to a normal customer, but we all detailers are trained to look at the car in such a way that you can figure out these
Minute
particular
scratches.
things. So this definitely affects the resale value of the car. So you're protecting the OEM paint from scratches, and you're adding more
To the
value to it.
resale value as well. So to wrap everything up, finally, so like what do you have to say about new generation young people coming into this industry? What is that one suggestion or one one liner that you would like to give to someone who is coming into this industry? What should they look out for from your experience?
See, from my experience, I think the basic business is detailing. So you need to have an eye for detail. Secondly, you know your product very well. What are you selling to the customer? First, you should know the product in terms of technical things.
Maybe apply to
Uh,
within your car.
yeah, apply within your car. So
Mhm.
that's one way of doing it. So what I meant by knowing your product is that technically also you might not be a technically oriented person, or might not have a technical background kind of a thing, but I think you need to get into the depth. So suppose if there are two products and two variants available, so what is the difference between those variants? What makes the variants different? What are the chemical properties? What are the physical properties? And what is going to be the impact of that variation between the two variants? So you need to get into the basics of it. And most importantly, I think every customer is different. So many people, I would suggest that if at all you are getting into this business, the most important thing that is other than the technicals and skills, because there are too many articles available, there are a lot of coaching institutes which coach you, but the customer orientation is extremely important, because once your customer trusts you, you need to build that trust, and it's very easily broken, right? So
Yeah.
you have various things, for the customer not to believe you. So you need to be sticking to your basics, understand your customer well, and give them the kind of value for which I think they will
They're investing.
return back to you.
Makes sense. So that's the one one tip for the new detailers who's coming into the industry. So I hope you guys loved this episode. It was a pleasure having you, Sheshadri, in
Thank you
the
so much for
yeah.
having me. It was a pleasure indeed. Yeah.
Thank you, and that's a wrap. And I'll see you on the next episode. Till then, it's Auto Intel powered by AI and sponsored by Personamize.ai, helping car dealerships and detailing studios to scale their business. So I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Auto Intel podcast. If today's episode gave you value, make sure to follow and share it with someone in the auto space. And remember, the show is powered by Personamize.ai, the AI persona system helping car dealerships and detailing studios go from lead to follow up to close deal, all without adding extra manpower. Visit personamize.ai website to see it in action. Until the next time, keep scaling smart.